No, Mike. I've done it again. Thanks, Tim. Always on mute. Okay, guys, I'll have to repeat myself. So a little bit different from normal prep. Going to be looking at. Yeah, Mike's definitely working now. I can hear myself. I'm going to mute myself so I don't hear an echo. Okay, so a little bit different from normal prep. I'm going to be looking a bit more at the profile structure, the market environment we're trading in, what we're waiting for, why it might be trading like this, and how do we trade it. Also, don't forget that it is we are now into June and it is starting to quieten down. We saw that yesterday's volumes were in the lower 10th decile. So really starting to see volumes dry up, but that's also because we are consolidating this move higher, this breakout from last week's balance on Friday. We managed to hold above, and we are now just trying to, buyers are trying to hold above the 6,000 level. Last month's high, 6,009, that area there, 6,008. And that's it. So we're going to have a look quickly at the profiles. Currently, this is a live. These are live ladders. We're currently trading at 60.19, and pretty difficult conditions overnight. But again, we are trading inside balance. We basically extended to the upside and to the downside of yesterday's range, but we've also held Friday's lows. So this is really showing us a bit of accumulation for potential further upside. But we'll go through that in a bit more detail. Let's crack on and have a look at the profiles. We're going to look at the profiles, then we're going to look at the 5-minute. We'll look at the weekly as well. Sorry, I forgot about that. We'll look at the weekly and what that can tell us, and also where we need to be cautious. And then we'll go through the prep. So let's just have a look at changing screens. There we go. Okay, so this is basically a look at the current posture. We can see what I've been trying to highlight is these areas of balance. The market's been really just balancing in between the extremes. So we're getting these large rotations, basically we're briefly taking out a prior high, only to come back inside, leaving a tail there. We've got a tail here on both sides. One thing to notice is just basically this is incredibly balanced. We've got a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 day balance here. Then we kind of break out, we pop higher, and then we kind of hold. You can see values now developing above the prior balance. And again, we kind of got this pop up on NFP, and value is currently in this current balance. We are now developing value above prior balance highs, or trying to, but we're definitely developing value above prior value. So we've got these overlapping ranges, then we get these pops, and then we've got value then developing above, and it's just kind of this stepping action higher. So it's kind of a balance and pop. I've described it in my notes, and it's something that we can see some evidence of here. The way that we're, buyers are accumulating. Look, I've highlighted this in yellow and purple here, really quite clear. These things really like strong buying tails. Everywhere we go, we see buying tails. Almost every profile's got a buying tail, even that one there, which I haven't highlighted. But a 2 TPO or more is a definition of a buying tail. But then, so these yellow circles here are just showing you where we've got these buying tails. But what we're also seeing, which is interesting, is just seeing how the highs are very, very flat. We've got these kind of poorly auctioned highs, which then resolve higher, but not making much ground, with the exception of Friday, where we had this kind of breakout because of the news that everyone was waiting for. We had better numbers, and we also had slightly better earnings. So this is something to watch out for. These poor highs tend to get resolved. They tend to get resolved higher, but we're just not really getting the kind of breakout moves that everyone would be expecting. This is just probably a function of the fact that we're waiting. We're just consolidating after NFP. This was the kind of pre-NFP range. We've broken up, and now we're kind of just consolidating. Sorry, that's the NFP. We broke out, and then we're just consolidating above the prior balance. So we can see now we're in Friday, Monday, 2-day balance. You can quite clearly see this very, very nice absorption high. We're going to see how that resolved overnight as well. We're going to have a look at the 5-minute decel. So I just want to kind of highlight what the areas that we're really focusing on. Basically, we broke out of this prior balance here. 5956 was the balance high. I want to see that hold. It's really important that we hold on to that area there. Should we fail, we could potentially come target last week's lows, and that would bring the weekly continued balance, because we've already taken out the prior week's highs. But should we take out Friday's lows, that would bring us, that would maintain balance. Otherwise, we are now starting to weekly one time frame higher. So that's something to watch. But what we're really seeing is we've taken out the highs, but we haven't gone very far, and we're not going very far. And we're probably waiting for tomorrow into CPI. Okay, everyone can hear me. Just checking. Any issues, just put it on the chat, and I'll hopefully see it if I can glance at it from the corner of my eye. Okay, so important to recognize that basically we're stepping high. We've broken out of last week's highs. We've just taken out Friday's highs, but look, we've got this 3 TPO high. Okay, watch out for that. That high has resolved overnight, and we're going to quickly, I'm just going to show you how these kind of tend to action. This is a 5-minute chart. There's your 3 TPO high, 1, 2, 3, probably somewhere in there. It's probably not as exact as you see on the TPO. The TPO is being shrunk a little bit to get those, to make it look a little bit neater for you guys. But you can see overnight what's happened is this is the area that we're looking for. That's where that 3 TPO high has been formed, yesterday's session highs. And then we've kind of, we've traded through it and then accelerated to the upside, found buys again up at 40.41, 40 3/4 up here it says. And then we've just got sliced back down through balance. This is typical of trading balance, okay? So when we step up above a prior area that's been resolved, you want to see that area hold. So you wanted to see this 28 area hold, and it didn't hold. It just sliced straight back through. Let's just shrink this a little bit so we can see what happened. And not only did we, we not hold the prior high, but we sliced through the entire evening's, prior RTH session in the overnight session, and we took out the IB low. That is just a real clear, that is the definition of trading balance. You trade it from one extreme to the next, look for failure back inside, and look for continuation. This could have held, look, this looks like it's coming back down, trickling back down again. You want to see buyers hold that prior high of 28s, but there isn't there anyone there. Look, they have one more go. Really, really important. A lot of volume comes in, probably some news that's come in, and it's just literally just slices through, traverses the entire range, takes it out. And that's it really. Okay, so we can see that we're quite clearly in balance. We've got a lot of overlapping price action. Sometimes it gets a bit sticky and it kind of trends. You see these kind of, but then people get stuck into thinking that this is going to be kind of like a breakout accumulation, but then it just slices back in again. So be cautious about trading balance. One of the key things I'm looking for is volume. Are we seeing volume accelerate through the highs? No, we actually saw it drop down. We saw volume accumulation here on the VWAP, the full session VWAP, then it slices higher, and then you see volume completely and utterly drop off relative to the prior, and it just drops back inside. So always watch out for volume to see for breakout continuation or reversal. Okay, one of the key things that I look for. Right, this is just quickly looking at the 5-minute charts. You can see it's pretty messy. It kind of tightens up at times. So we break down, test the prior low, we kind of grind back high, grind back out higher, we get some stops through, and then we take out the prior high, and then we only fall back inside. It's really just, we're just going from one side to the other. And so this is just a really, really, really important thing to take note of here. Try to not dick around too much in the middle, okay? I don't know how many times I've said this before. I've said this to a lot of people. When we're in balance, do not trade the middle, okay? People get sucked in. They start thinking, oh, do you know what? I'm going to hold this, prior IB high, IB low, whatever it is. But then it just keeps slicing through. Really, really tricky. Look, look to fade the extremes on low volume, and look for failure at the highs when that doesn't follow through. Okay, this is just kind of going through the price action. You can see it's really, really tricky, okay? But basically the crux of trading balance is you want to kind of focus on trading those extremes. Let me put this chart away. So these are the balance areas. You want to try and focus on looking for failures at the value area highs, value area lows, extremes of the ranges, and that's way to trade it. Just to reiterate, if we start to fall back below 56, the reason I think it's important, it would indicate that this is a potential breakout failure. We come back, take out last week's low. That's kind of what I'm looking for. Otherwise, we can see we could potentially resolve to the upside. These 28s from yesterday, 27.75 are important for continuation to the upside. I have to say these markets generally really laid back, sit back, don't do too much. Just focus on what those things I've just said on extremes. Now let's just quickly have a look at the weekly. This is the weekly profiles. I'm going to expand it a little bit just to give you, I'm going to give you some clues, okay? We can see here, we're just trying to trade out of 3-week balance. There's the prior high 56 that we're kind of observing for failure. So this is the breakout, nice big pre-distribution with a lot of volume done on Fridays. We want to see it try and hold, what was it again? We're going to try and see, we want to try and see it hold that 56, that prior balance high, but above that, we want to see it hold last week's POC around 81, 82. What have we done yesterday? What did we do yesterday? We took out the prior week's high. This is yesterday's range. We took out last week's high by just a few ticks. We've got a really strong absorption level there, and we've got this spinning top candle here. And what does this tell us? It tells us that basically there's a lack of initiative action at these extremes. It's more a case of wait and hold. We're just balancing up at these highs. We're comfortably above the POC, but this is a warning shot. Okay, this is a potential warning shot to the downside. I just want to kind of bring attention to back into the back of the range here, where we took out the prior week's high. There it is. This huge candle up higher, but then we failed and we went all the way down to test the other side of balance. Okay, this is trading balance in a weekly context. We can see that we've just taken out the prior high on the second weekly profile. We kind of took it out and then we failed back inside, took out the other side. Then we've got this inside week. We've just broken out, but I want to make sure, I want to see this hold at least above, it'd be ideally, we want to try and see it hold above this 87, 82's POC. This area here is quite important. Should we fail below there, I think that does open us up to the downside, and I'll be looking at the value area high and low, value area low of that week, 59.60 for a breakdown, and then it won't be very far away from the 56 level, which is really key. If we start holding below 56, we target Tuesday's lows. So I'm not saying I'm bearish here. I'm saying this is obviously a bullish accumulation higher. We're holding. We're ready for CPI for tomorrow. We want to see numbers come in favor for the Fed, not to want to hold rates as high as they are. I think the market really wants to see rates a little bit lower. So does Trump. I think lower inflation would be good, especially if yields start to drop a little bit. But overall, we are holding at the top of last week's POC, and this has got grounds for higher, but we want to be careful as we are trading below last week's high. Okay, that's just something I'm going to warn you about. Let's quickly go through the prep. Okay. Okay, this is being published on Twitter for you guys to have a look at, review. This is how I do it, a little bit different today. I'm talking about the weekly profile. Attempt to trade out of 3-week balance. I just explained that with Monday's close. It was inside last. Inside last week's high. So this is important information. Outline, we're incredibly balanced, and it looks like we're just holding for this CPI print tomorrow. Not just that though. The reason I've actually done this video just now is because the Chinese and the Americans have gone for lunch. So basically I've got this window now to do this video because I don't want to miss a headline that could basically trade us outside of this area of balance. So please keep an eye out for news. A lot of people don't do that. So keep your eye out for news. We want to kind of critical things I've mentioned again is the TPO highs. Want to kind of really focus on that. Really grindy price action higher, and we've got this large overlapping value from Monday's profile on Fridays, so really not showing us much to the upside. Okay, that's basically this is the prep. I've kind of run through it. Overall, I'm going to be trading the areas of balance. I'm looking for volume. I'm just going to finish off with this one little thing. When we're trading in balance, volumes tend to dry out, and so what I tend to look for, okay, are these high volume highs and lows. Okay, so anything that sees an increase in volume at the extremes, I want to take note of that high and low. So for example, yesterday's prep, I kind of highlighted 20s. So this is just something for you guys to take away. When you're trading balance, you want to pay attention to those high volume, high stakes, highs and lows. There's one here from this morning. You can see it just, volumes crept massively higher. This is a big volume area, but it then got taken out, but then the buyer is still there. We're still holding Friday's lows. But these little pieces of info are valuable when trading the next session as well, which is going to be in about an hour and 15 minutes. And that kind of brings an end to this prep. Hopefully I've kind of outlined not just the current structure and what we're trading, incredibly balanced, very grindy markets, but we are we are looking at potential breakout to the upside, failure, come back inside this prior. We're trying to hold like above the prior balance highs. There it is. This area of balance is highs, probably value area highs, probably around the 90 mark, which is where we found the low this afternoon session. We can actually have a quick look at that just to see if I can confirm that, because I haven't sketched it out. This is good for people looking to use composite profiles. Well, composite profiles, I just merge overlapping value. So look, we've got overlapping value here, 1, 2, 3 here, merge those. Here we've got overlapping value, merge those two. That's the overnight session, doesn't count. Let's just merge it and see what happens. Merge with prior profile. Okay, and then let's have this one as well. Merge with prior. Let's do it this way. Okay, so we've got two composite profiles here. You can see that the POC of that is right on last week's weekly VPOC. We've got the low of this range down here at 85. Nothing. I thought maybe this low overnight might coincide with the value area high of that POC, that profile, but it doesn't. So I'm wrong. But nonetheless, that's basically the idea of how we put together composite profiles. All right, that's pretty much it. I'm going to step away, start to get ready for the open. Thanks for watching, and yeah, catch up with you next time.